brown or black? He's still here. There he is. Well,
thank you. I'll be brief. I know people are probably very weary of the proceedings, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'd just like to make a few points and then offer an invitation. As there's too many rules to start with on whether or not you take a roll call vote or not. In looking at the Senate rule and also the House rule, there's a lot of different rules on which ones to take a vote on, which ones you don't. And I think what we need is just a very simple standard that will require roll call votes just as H3047 requires. Some say that roll call votes are a waste of time, particularly on things like naming a road or those types of things, like introducing a local team from your own district, those types of things. And this vote, this bill, as I understand it, does not require votes on those things. And in addition, an occasional unneeded roll call vote is worth the time to make sure that we get the needed roll call votes on every substantive bill. It was also mentioned earlier that the numbers that Policy Council gave out included third readings on unamended second readings. And Senator Larry Martin, I think in a report by the Policy Council, you mentioned that if those were excluded from the count, that would increase the number of votes taken in the Senate on roll call up to 50%, which is better, but I still say that's not good enough. The other thing is that there's two different things that would happen if we have this bill passed. You mentioned yourself in testimony that was given in considering the recall of this bill that, I think you said even that day, that there had been roll call votes required by the rules in which senators had come up to you or others and said, tell me what this bill is about so that I can make sure I vote intelligently on the bill. Not only will this bill, if it's passed, require recorded votes, but it would require the senators and the House members to vote intelligently to make sure that they understand what the bills are they're passing on. Too many times I've sat in the Senate and the House and watched bills go across the desk and get voted on where very, very few of the members of each chamber are actually paying attention to seeing what's going across. They assume if it's uncontested, then there's no need to really pay attention to it. It's going to be on a voice vote, and that's good enough. And I'd like that to stop. Several times it's been asked, why don't you ask for a roll call vote on every vote anyway? And I think the understanding is that if a particular House member or Senate member were to do that, then that particular person would become very unpopular with the other members of the Senate, the other members of the House. It would be very difficult for them, they feel, to get their agenda through. I even had one member of the chamber mention that to me at one point. And they would be blackballed, so to speak. And it shouldn't be, they should be put in a position where they would have to do that. The law should make that a matter of course, and that no senator or House member should feel like they need to take the onus of making sure that it happens. It was mentioned that we already have House rules in place that go further and are more extensive than the bill that's being proposed. And my understanding is that this bill would not eliminate those rules, that the House and the Senate still would be able to make rules that would be more extensive and more expansive than this bill. So that argument, I think, is addressed. A couple other points have already been addressed. I'll skip over those. What I'd like to do is say this. I would like to have this bill on the floor of the Senate for a vote and allow each member of the Senate to declare on the record where they stand on this bill one way or the other. Should that not happen, then I would invite each of you who have both said that you're for transparency, and the only problem that you have with this bill is that it's unconstitutional. I would invite each of you to offer an amendment to Rule 22, or Section 22 of the Constitution, which says that 5 members of the Senate may request a roll call vote, or 10 members of the House may request a roll call vote. And I would suggest the amendment to being or as specified by statute. Now, I invite each of you, should this bill not make it to the Senate to be debated, to either one of you, I would support you introducing a constitutional amendment to that effect.